there in the second inning. I think he was disappointed in himself in a couple of the locations. Um, but like right from the get-go, he had velo, he had movement. He was locating in the first inning. Second inning, I think he got out of whack just a hair. But I mean, 2 hits, created 1 run, and other than that, he was really good.
Good morning, Kansas City. This is New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. Stephen St. John with us today. We have Nate Bukaty for a couple of hours. Jake Gutierrez is always here. We've got Jamie Bluma, who will be with us in the 7 o'clock hour. We're also going to talk to former Royals pitcher Brett Laxton about torpedo bats. Bluma will tell us a little bit about his former teammate Brett Laxton and what he's doing now. And so when we had Bluma on, it just so happened that I had some comments from Brett Laxton, who is a master craftsman, talking about the torpedo bat craze. And Bluma, before I can get to the comments, talked about Brett Laxton, who works for Marucci. And so we thought it'd be interesting to hear from former Major Leaguer, former Royal, and master craftsman Brett Laxton about the torpedo bat craze. He'll be on with us around 8 o'clock or so. Is Bluma going to hang out for that, or is he going to? That's his guy. That would make sense. It seems like it, you know. I thought maybe that's why he scheduled it at 8, so Bluma could take part.
If Bluma wants to, he's more than welcome to.
Yeah.
I think we'd appreciate that.
Maybe Brett Laxton would feel more comfortable.
Time willing.
Yeah, he has no idea who I am, but he knows who Bluma is. And so we'll talk to Brett Laxton. Then we will hear from Greg Gurley. Greg Gurley in the 8 o'clock hour, around 8:30 or so, to talk about the national championship game last night, now that the NCAA tournament is mercifully over. Annie Rogers from MLB.com, who covers the Royals, will be with us at 9:05, and then we'll wrap up with some more college basketball and talk to Jared Sutton at 9:30 and see what he has to say. We'll talk about, like I said, the Royals with Bluma and also Annie Rogers. Good stuff from the Royals last night. And so the Royals win Game 1 against the Minnesota Twins, 4-2. A very good pitching performance from Michael Lorenzen. He goes 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, no walks, 3 strikeouts. And then Harvey, Urseg, and Estevez again, 1, 2, 3, get it done. And Estevez did give up a run, but that's all right. He gets save number 3 as the Royals beat the Twins 4-2 and get back to 500, 5-5 on the season. Kyle Isbell was the offensive star last night. He went 3 for 4, including his first home run, and had a couple of ribbies. And so that was good. Hunter Renfroe looks like he is no longer able to play outfield at a high level, which is concerning because it appears that he can no longer hit at a high level either. He went 1 for 4 to raise his average to 172. MJ Melendez on base a couple of times, got a hit and a walk, but he's still sitting at 130 with a 174 slug, so he's still struggling. But so what? Royals won last night. They get it done 4-2 and start the series off right against the Minnesota Twins. Also last night, before we get to the national championship game, we were all at the Boddicker Foundation Bourbon Raffle, and that was awesome. Had a chance to give away some great bottles of bourbon. To over 22,000 tickets were sold, and they raised over $100,000 last night for Children's Mercy. And so I know a bunch of people that listen to this show and listen to Mike when he comes on the show bought tickets, and hopefully some of our listeners won. I didn't recognize any of the names except for Jamie Bluma, who won a very nice bottle of bourbon. But nobody else that at least I recognized won. But hopefully some people that listen to the show that heard Mike Boddicker and heard us talking about it and bought tickets ended up winning some great items last night. So, do you guys have fun out there last night?
Great time. Great time. Yeah.
Food from Tequila Harry's.
Oh, delicious.
Jake was there. People were nervous you weren't going to be there.
Oh, I was there. I was there before it started.
Yeah.
Just barely.
Yeah. Sometimes barely's enough.
Yeah, well.
Trust me.
That's my life. Boddicker gets nervous about everybody being there on the day of. But it turned out very well.
Oh, it was a great time. It's a great time. Good night for John James.
Yeah, whoever that was, he won a couple of big bottles of bourbon. That was great.
I pulled his name twice.
That was great.
It was wild.
Glad you guys could make it out there.
You did a great job, man. That was a lot of fun.
Hey, man, thanks.
It's a great cause. So much good. It's great seeing like Owen and the families that it affects. That kid was awesome.
Right. Some of the couple of the families that have benefited from
the
money raised for Children's Mercy. So that was.
Got my Owen business card.
Oh, did you? That's great. Yeah, this kid passing out business cards.
I know. It's a young entrepreneur.
Right. So there it is. Yeah, I was nervous my voice was going to give out. My voice was trash right afterwards. That was this last week has been a hell of a run. That was my very, very lucky to be able to do all these events. That was my third charity event in 5 nights, and then you mix in the Jack White concert and 2 fantasy baseball auctions and Susan's birthday and a couple of other things. My voice was like, all right, let's get through this. And now a 4-hour radio show.
Let's get through this.
And we'll be good. No, I think it
sound fine, man.
Afterwards it was bad. I said, oh boy, this is gonna be, and I drank some room temperature water on the way home, got home, had a little dinner, watched the game, watched the Royals, watched the basketball game, and let's see, how do I want to say this? That will probably, when it's all said and done, one of the least memorable NCAA tournaments that I've ever experienced. That absolutely, positively did nothing for me. Hey, it was 4 number 1 seeds. It was high level basketball, but part of this, I think, stems from the idea that I don't like Florida. I do not like their coach at all. I don't like that man at all, and so that's fine. So what? Who cares? What does anyone care how I feel about the Florida coach? But just not a fan. And even all the, you know what? If you Google Todd Golden
and direct messages.
Take a few minutes out of your day.
Instagram, just Google Todd Golden and Instagram.
I'm just talking about.
Nate's furiously typing.
I remember this story a little bit, but
nobody else does apparently.
Right, I remember it a lot, bit.
But also just like from when they played Missouri and just his demeanor on the bench. I don't. There's some coaches you watch and think, man, I like this guy. And there's some coaches you watch and like, yeah, this guy just rubs me the wrong way. I'm not a fan. And he's like that for me. And I don't know. I've never met him. I'm probably never gonna meet him. I don't know what's true and what's not true about accusations and everything else. I have no idea. I just watch the guy and I'm like, I don't care for him. And I do like Kelvin Sampson. And I was hoping that he'd get his first national championship.
What a gut wrencher.
And I was hoping that Houston would get their first national championship. after being close a couple of times when I was a kid. At the end of the day, it's not going to break my heart. I don't care that much. But I mean, if you asked me who I wanted to win last night, I was pulling for Houston. I was pulling for Kelvin Sampson. I mean, there's nothing. I just think Florida. I mean, I've seen Florida win before. Florida's a team that Mizzou has to butt heads with in the SEC, and also probably it. See, I don't know how this should make me feel. It probably doesn't make me feel. It should make me feel anyway, but it does irritate me that Florida lost one game all year long at home or on a neutral court. One game to Mizzou. Mizzou went to Florida and beat them. And so that shows how good Mizzou could have been, and at one time how good they were, but it also makes it for me more perplexing, what happened to them. Like, how do you go from winning at Florida and winning some of the games that they won on the road and at Mizzou Arena to all apologies, losing to Drake and looking like you have no idea what to do in the half court and no idea what to do against Drake. And again, Drake, Bennett Sturts, Ben McCollum, fantastic. But you saw what happened against Texas Tech. And for Mizzou to at one point show they were good enough to win at Florida and to have their season end with a thud like it did, it's very hard for me to understand. Because it wasn't just winning at Florida, beating Alabama, beating just what they did until their late season collapse. And so hey, look, we can get into a lot of reasons why I think it happened or what we saw on the floor, but I mean, I don't know. Didn't make me feel any better that Florida won the national championship. I don't like Florida.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
And I'm
Kansas
not,
fans can identify a little bit.
I ain't gonna be one of these like, hey, SEC won it. I don't care.
Nate liked Florida last night, didn't you, Nate?
I don't care.
You know, the funny thing I was still rooting against them. I didn't realize I could win the bracket. Like if they won, I thought I was in like the running.
I don't care what conference wins.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we're not, if you guys would have got on here, if Houston won, oh, so you're Big 12, like, oh, so what? Great, good for you.
Yeah.
I mean,
But it doesn't mean Kansas' season turned out any better than it did.
That's hey, the SEC won it. Well, they had a pretty good shot considering they had every team in the conference in the tournament. So, I don't know. Just like overall, just that, and yes, it probably has a lot to do with Mizzou losing to Drake, and just the lack of upsets. And there wasn't
wasn't very many buzzer beaters.
There were some compelling finishes, but just
one buzzer beater the whole tournament.
As a whole, the tournament was just like put that in the file and close it, and it was not memorable for me for any big reasons. It's like, okay, Florida wins.
It's kind of rooting for the Toy Poodle League.
I thought the Final Four was very entertaining.
Yeah,
I mean, like the Duke
last three
Houston
games
game was
awesome. Last three games were good.
But
I mean, that you had all
but at
one
the end of
game.
the day, it meant nothing because Houston, and they'll tell you that Kelvin Sampson will tell you that. So what? They beat Duke, but they didn't win the national championship. They collapsed.
Man,
they collapsed now.
Yeah.
We watch Duke collapse, but that's not going to make Houston feel any better right now because they collapsed.
Yeah, I mean,
The final minute they had 3 turnovers. The final possession, you can't even get a shot off.
That's the worst part. I mean, that's hard. That's gonna be a hard one to live with.
You can't even get a shot off.
After a timeout, you're only
3
down 2
turnovers in the final minute.
Yeah.
And you can't get a shot off. That's the look on Kelvin Sampson's face as he stood there in absolute disbelief.
Yeah, they didn't have a free throw or a field goal attempt in the last 125.
I mean, they couldn't. They couldn't. What the hell were they doing? And it looked like they were dead set on trying to take a very high level of difficulty 3 to try to win it when you don't need that? Like, what?
And it's like they were trying to go for the last shot, too. Like, they just, like, walked up the court. They had all this time, and they just wasted, like, 7 seconds dribbling
I was screaming at the screen, like, what are you doing? Go! What are you doing?
Yeah, it was a bad position.
What is happening? What are you doing? And then before we know it, it's just over, and they never got a shot off. But look at the final minute. Look at the play-by-play in the box score. Turnover, turnover, turnover. 3 turnovers in the final minute. That's unbelievable. Florida played good defense. Not that good. You got to get a shot off. You got to get a shot off. So I'm probably being too negative about it. Look, hey, the other, I would have won the bracket at Duke won, but that's what I get for picking Duke and rooting for Duke. Screw Duke. I don't like them either. You know? I don't mind Auburn. I like Bruce Pearl. I like the way they play. I love the way Houston plays. I like Kelvin Sampson a lot. But like Duke and Florida, like whatever. If they never won another basketball game for the rest of my life, I wouldn't care. You know? So it's just like... So you loved it because your bracket came through.
Yeah, I was in like 5th place going into the last game, so I didn't realize I could win it all if Florida won. So I was kind of rooting for Houston.
Big points for picking the winner. Big points.
But yeah, I don't remember the last time I won a bracket contest. The funny part is I know less about college basketball right now than I ever have in my life.
That's saying something.
It is saying something, isn't it? But that also goes to show you that's how bracket contests work. Kansas fans, like I remember like watching the Duke game, and I know they didn't win the national title, but still, they obviously were really good, and they're in the Final Four, and I'm like, how did Kansas beat them? Like how did that? It's just so weird. Like when you talk about Missouri, and I think that's got a lot to do with it, is that Missouri and Kansas State were not real factors in the tournament. If they were real factors in the tournament, we probably all would have enjoyed it a lot more. We would have been more into it. I still think there's something to the idea that we don't know who any of these players are, where they come from, or who they, because they all are transfers from somewhere else. But yeah, I didn't find the tournament as compelling this year either. I didn't know if that maybe also just because I'm not as locked in on college basketball as I used to be, but. I
get that argument about most teams, but I didn't feel that way about the Mizzou team because they were loaded with so many local kids.
Yeah.
I did feel an attachment to them because you had 3 Kansas City kids on the team and Caleb Grill and just, but they lost. So, and they won in conference at Florida. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm not bringing that up to Jared Sutton though. Yeah, I am. We'll talk about that at 9:30. God, I don't like Florida. You guys like Florida?
No. I've got a buddy.
There's just certain schools that just irritate me, and I just like Florida.
Well, I'm looking through this story again,
right?
Because I remember you sending it to us in the back. Because it came out a long time ago, right? Like in the middle of the season, or was it early in the season? I remember you sending it to us
last fall.
Yeah, a while ago. Yeah. Doesn't seem like
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. But I like Kelvin Sampson. I like Houston. I was rooting for him. I've always admired the toughness that his teams play with. They don't play the greatest offense. They never have. And I guess that's one of the things that at the end you have to give Golden, because they ran some great plays, Florida did, to like get open shots for Clayton. And it didn't seem like Houston really had much of an idea of how to get like an open look sometimes, on those final possessions of the game. But I was rooting for Kelvin Sampson. I was rooting for Houston. Even though it would have cost me my bracket pool.
I can't believe they didn't get a shot off. That whole last minute was an offensive disaster for them.
Yeah. They did a couple dumb things. Like, I don't know, and like this stuff matters at the end of the day. I mean, I guess they didn't pay for it as much as they could have, but if you remember at the end of the first half, they got a shot off and there was like I don't know, 12 seconds left or something, and they missed, but they got the offensive rebound. So they got a fresh shot clock with 12 seconds left. So you think, okay, stop, run the clock down, and get the last shot of the half. Dude chucks up a three, like, right off the bat with, like, still, like, 12 seconds left. And Florida didn't end up scoring, but it, like, gave Florida an extra possession. Like, they did a few things like that through the course of the game where you're like, man, shooting themselves in the foot. Some of those turnovers you talked about. Also, there was a couple of bad calls. That I don't know if you guys remember. There was a huge swing in the first half when the ball was clearly on the rim, and the dude for Florida just like swats it off the rim, and everybody from Houston's like, hey, goaltending should be a basket. The refs, like, all three of them missed it somehow, and they go down the court and hit a three. It's like, that's a 5-point swing. I mean, look, I'm sure there were bad calls that went in favor of.
Yeah, I mean, they still had a 12-point lead in the second half. They
didn't get a shot off in the final minute.
Yeah, you can't blame the refs.
You want to blame someone?
Minute plus.
You did not get a shot off.
Yeah.
Or get yourself to the line.
And you had 3 turnovers in the final minute. Yeah, there's other factors, but like if I'm a Houston fan, I can't get past that final minute.
I can't get past that last possession. You don't even get a shot to tie it or win the game. You don't even get a shot.
The position before too.
Coming off a timeout.
It was like they were playing like the game was tied. Like they just like, okay, let's make sure we get the last shot here.
And I think that's the most surprising part about
their
it.
spacing was terrible. Like everything was like in disarray, and I didn't, and I don't know. They were down 2, but they acted like in that last possession they had to have a 3. I'm like, what are you like?
Drive.
Get to the basket and get to the line. What are you doing?
19 seconds. Drive.
And even if they did get a shot off, it was going to be a forced 3,
30 feet
guarded. Like, what are you like? And I feel like Kelvin Sampson was thinking the same thing because just the look of disbelief on his face, like, what is my team doing? And we've seen them be on the other end of it. Look at what they did to Kansas at Allen Fieldhouse. Look at what they did to Duke. They're the ones that forced other teams to collapse in the final minute. And then in the national championship game, they collapsed. They blew the big lead. And in the final, they put together a final minute of basketball that they will never want to watch again. That's got to be so painful.
Yeah. I mean, like in some ways, like you said, I won't say, I won't go as far as you to say that the win over Duke means nothing, because they did get to a national championship game. I think that means something, but in some ways it makes it hurt worse. Like you were that close to a national title and then you didn't get a shot off in the last minute and a half.
I mean, I don't think they're fired up, high-fiving about beating Duke right now.
Oh, they were all devastated. You can see it. And yeah, like I said, it's like bigger heartbreak, when you do it in the biggest game of your life.
What?
I think it kind of means nothing. I mean, Kansas loses the national championship game. You remember much about the Final Four wins?
I mean, some of them, like I remember in 1991 when Kansas lost to Christian Laettner and Duke in the national title. They beat North Carolina in the Final Four, and that game was incredible. And yeah, that was awesome.
It was incredible, but that's like
I don't think it means nothing.
I kind of.
You ain't first or last.
It's what your perspective is, I mean, I shouldn't be this way, but I don't think about the Chiefs beating the Bills in the championship game much, nor will I after what happened in the Super Bowl, because it's championships or bust for the Chiefs. I think for Houston, they probably felt that way. Because, I mean, they've been to a Final Four. They've been to Final Fours, and they've never won a championship. And for Kelvin Sampson, he's never won a championship.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying it's like a celebratory situation, but I think at the end of the day, Missouri's made it to some conference conference championship games in football. That's something to be proud of, right? Even if they didn't win.
No,
there's nothing.
Well, I mean, like what? Like what do you mean by that?
You got there. Like, hey, we played in the SEC championship game. You didn't win, but you got there. I think it means. I'm not saying it means like.
You sure it means something, but I don't.
It feels incomplete.
I don't think that
it's
way.
It's like an incomplete. I don't know. For me, when I look at that, like, it's like, that's.
Well, sure. I mean, it means something, but I'm not.
I'd say them winning the Big 12 conference back-to-back years is a bigger notch on their belt. Something that they'd probably take away more than a Final Four win.
I mean, I think it'll mean something. Maybe years. I don't know. I don't think nobody cares right now that they beat Duke. I don't think they, in the locker room, we beat Duke. Screw this game.
No, of course not. Of course, of course not.
But
they'll put it on a banner probably that they made it to Final Four, that they made it to a national championship game. That'll probably go on a banner up in their building.
I think making it to the Final Four absolutely is something that you're proud of. But the fact that they beat Duke, and whether you beat Duke or didn't beat Duke, Final Four is a big deal, right? But I don't think I think the stain of losing this game the way they lost it.
Yeah, that's not.
I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are gonna, for the rest of their lives, they're gonna wonder. We didn't even get a shot off at the end of the game to tie it. So I don't think
I think it's going to be hard for anyone to celebrate winning the Final Four because of the way they lost that game.
That's what I mean. It's like that to take away.
That's just so.
The way they lost it, how they collapsed, and then not even to get a shot off to tie or win the game. Not even to have a shot at it. Like, that's gut-wrenching.
I'm not disputing that.
Well, and I'm just saying that overshadows any win, I think. You know what I mean?
Yes, it overshadows for sure.
Dark shadow.
I think what are they, tragedy plus time type thing. I think like at some point in time, if I'm one of those players, I would say, but you know what? We did beat Cooper Flagg and Duke. We came back. That team was beating everybody by 30 points, and we beat them. But we blew it in the national championship game, yes. I
don't know, man. The one state semifinal that I lost, I don't think. You know what? We came back the next day and beat Miege in the third place game. That's really awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. It just depends on the person, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. But it just depends on how you're wired and what you think about it.
Yeah, maybe it's because I never won anything in my life. The high school basketball team I played on didn't win much. So like the ones that we won, I'm like, yeah.
Like I have nothing.
Celebrated.
I have nothing at this level to compare it to. Nothing. Right. The only thing in my life that I can even come close, and so is that sounds stupid. It's not a comparison, right? But in my life, it was the most important thing I did athletically. I made it to the finals of the Golden Gloves, and I lost a decision, and it makes me sick. I don't like anyone to ask me about it. I don't like to talk about it. I would never watch that fight again. I don't want to hear about it. And I don't even like bringing it up. It just made me mad right now thinking about it. And I feel like I accomplished absolutely nothing.
I admire you for making it to the finals of that because, how many people? You're the only person I know other than my grandpa who made it that far as a boxer.
I know, but see, and I wish I felt that way. Yeah. But it makes it. It's like I think about why. But Jake, like you won a lot more than I did
in high school. I mean,
but you think about losses.
In college, we made it to the conference finals twice. Had a shot to go to the NCAA tournament in the Mid-Continent Conference. We had an automatic bid. We lost twice. And that's.
How do you feel about it when you think back on it?
Awful. One year we won the conference, so we hosted it. That was my junior year, and we lost to IUPUI in the finals. And it's still one of the. I mean, we had a great year. We won our conference regular season, and we had the right to host the tournament, and then we lost in the finals.
But, like, can you imagine? That's just, we're talking about this at the levels we experience. That's all we can reference. But can you imagine if you have to think about turning the basketball over twice in the final couple of seconds. If you, I mean, like I don't even know what. I watched it and what are they doing? What is going on?
Put it this way.
Like if you're Emmanuel Sharp, it's the back-to-back turnovers and that how do you?
It's hard to live.
I can't even imagine
My
that.
freshman, sophomore, and junior year in high school, we won the state championship, 5A soccer state championship. My senior year, we lost in the semifinals. I think about that loss in the semifinals way more than I think about any of the state championship wins, including the one my freshman year when we won. We were rated number 1 in the nation by USA Today after that.
See, that's crazy. You should focus on the wins, but you don't.
I don't. I go to therapy over that missed penalty kick. I'm not lying. I missed the 5th penalty kick to put us into the state finals. I missed it.
Oh, dude, I get it.
We
man.
lost.
I get it.
And it ended a 7-year run of state championships. We'd won state 7 times in a row, and we're going for number 8. So.
Hopefully, the Houston players will handle it better than you have over the years.
That was 30 years ago.
That look on Kelvin Sampson's face, it was like he could not believe what he
was
just saw.
Frozen, yeah.
And it wasn't just that last minute. He just couldn't believe what he was staring in disbelief.
Because they've been the antithesis of that.
Because
all
they've
year.
been the other team that
Right.
that's where they live.
Yeah.
That's where they thrive in that final minute where all the pressure's crushing the other team. That's where they gain power from that.
It's almost where
And
they
to
wanted
see,
it to
right.
be.
But then you see that. And then you're the team that collapsed. And it's like, well, wait a minute. That's not what's supposed to happen.
It's like Florida beat them at their game.
Right. That's a great point. That's another reason why I'm like, wait a minute.
We kept it under 70.
I know that my team will make the right decisions, will not collapse under the pressure in the final minute, and that's exactly what happened.
They didn't
Yeah.
lose a game all year long when they kept a team under 70.
If you'd have told him it's going to be the final minute, 1 or 2 point game, okay,
Yep.
let's go. Fast forward to that. And then you throw in that a 12-point lead, so that's wild. We'll take a break. Florida is your national champions. We'll be right back. Head to this on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Ball is tipped and there you are. You're running for your life. You're a shooting star. How's that?
Welcome back to New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHP. Hi, everybody. Guess what I'm going to eat today for lunch? Jake. Huh?
What do you got? What do you got?
I'm going to eat the Jack White soup.
A little hot and sour. It's too hot for Susan. This is too hot.
Ooh, it's spicy.
I talked to her about that soup last night.
Oh, it's so spicy. What'd she say?
That's exactly what she said. She goes, "It's too hot."
It's so spicy. We ate. Do you have any frame of reference to what Jack White soup?
No. I know you went to his concert.
Thanks for listening to the show. Appreciate you. I thought you were one of our best listeners.
Well, I try to listen. Mm-hmm. I know you went to his concert. I know you're very excited about that.
So we went. We had a meal, a succulent Chinese meal. Me.
What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal?
Yeah, guilty. And so there's a place called Peking that's right across the street from the Uptown Theater.
Okay.
So I said, okay, we're going to eat there. That's cool?
Uh-huh.
And so Lebo and his brother Chad got there, got the table. And after we parked, me and Sue and the two of our boys, Chris and Richie, go there. And we're there. Jake was driving around the block eating a pizza in his car. Still haven't figured that out yet.
True story.
I thought this guy didn't eat pizza.
Oh, I do.
This guy's crushing pizza.
Once every about 6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it looked good. I'm not
delicious.
complaining here. You know?
No, I mean, it's
delicious.
I didn't think I was gonna have time to get down there and eat. And
You did, but no apologies. You look like you had a good pizza.
Yeah.
And so we're in there, and we all got our food, and Susan and I each ordered what we thought to be a small hot and sour soup. It was pretty big. And I ate it, and I was sweating a little bit, but it was delicious. The spice, everything, just right. And it was too hot for her. And so she asked for a lid, put the lid on the plastic, it came in a plastic bowl to go. And then, so we're going back, and we're going to go walk to the car, but we found a little special way into the Uptown that helped us avoid the long line. We didn't have time, and so I said, just throw the soup away. She said, oh, no, I'm not throwing the soup away. So, I mean, you can't take it. She said, I'm going to take it in there.
Yeah, no food or beverage allowed.
It says no food, no beverage. You can't take that in there.
Can't take it in
You're
there.
not taking hot and sour soup into the Jack White concert.
That's almost a food and a beverage.
And
It's
she
the
has
same
it.
Right.
She has it in a bag. She has a spoon. She has everything. And somehow she put it in her shirt. I don't know what she did.
She wrapped it around in her.
She had a wrap.
It's
a little
cold. It's chilly.
She had a wrap. Yeah. And she somehow finagled it to where she got
snuck the hot and sour soup into the concert.
Yeah.
she got,
There's a lot of people trying to sneak stuff into the concert. That she's the only one that snuck hot and sour soup in there.
awkward,
She was a little worried it's gonna
That's a hard thing to sneak into.
set the
Right.
metal detector off. She's
Right.
like, I was a little frightened.
gosh.
She got it in there. And then they wanted me to eat the soup during the concert. I didn't want to do that. I was
Oh,
full.
yes, that would have been great.
I already had, but I'd already had enough. I was
yeah,
full.
right.
We offered
Maybe
it to
just
Jake.
said it
Yeah.
right in the middle of one of your favorite songs.
Jake, you want some soup? And you didn't want any.
I saw Lebo because I walked past Lebo and Chad to say hello to Susan and the boys and Steven. And first thing they was, ask Susan if she has any soup.
Yeah. Tell her you want some soup. See if she has any.
Her look on her face is like, oh, Sue, so good to see you. You got any soup for me?
I do. I do. Wait a minute.
As a matter of fact,
Have a spoon also if you like it.
That's so funny.
And so and then I didn't remember, but I made it home and it's in the fridge. And so I think today I'm gonna enjoy my Jack White hot and sour soup. I'm excited.
A succulent Chinese meal?
oh my gosh,
That
that's
was
great.
good, man.
I appreciate the fact that she wasn't willing to just waste that soup.
That's
No,
right.
no. That's
you
not
paid
happening.
money for that
Oh
soup.
boy, let me tell you, that's not happening.
And soup is something that it keeps well,
Yeah, it
reheats
does.
well.
And
It
it's
actually
good. It
gets
was good
better.
soup. It's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
Actually gets better.
It settles.
Sits
Good soup.
long, yeah.
very good soup. So
thought
I know
maybe you
that,
were going to say we should go to Taco Villa for lunch today or something like that. but
I was going to say
we
you've
said
been
that
very
was
reluctant to come on the show to talk about Peter Vermees. You're ready to go on every other show, but not this one.
Yeah, I tried to avoid you guys on
Did you?
that.
now that you've
Mission
had-
accomplished.
Yeah.
Well played.
This
I'm
guy
good
was
at
on
dodgeball.
TV, he's on Petro.
Did well.
I saw him on public television. And, I mean, everywhere.
I was on the street corner
He was
talking,
on- he was
shouting
on-
about
Yeah.
it.
Good Morning Kansas City. Everything. Just,
Well, it was
he called in to show on another station. Just hey,
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Read
want to
an
talk about
editorial
Peter
for the Kansas City Star about it.
I talked to Peter yesterday briefly on the phone. I'd texted with him, but hadn't spoken with him.
Vermees. Who called who?
I called him. I guess I could say this. My bosses at MLS, at Apple TV, wanted to reach out to him to see if he'd be interested in doing some punditry work.
Yeah.
And so I called him, and he said, "Yeah, I'm not really interested right now." So,
Nope.
but yeah, I felt bad because I really did I wanted to, especially when I found out you guys were having Beasler on. Jake said I could come on with you and Matt at the same
Yeah, we
time. I
tried.
couldn't do it, but it was weird because I've only done the morning show out at Galazzo Network twice. I'd done it one time as like a fill-in. When I go out there, usually it's to do their nighttime scoreline show, and and Miola's out there a bunch these days. And he still brings you up quite a bit. By the way, Tony Miola is very fond of you. But we've been talking like, it'd be fun to get to do a show together out here sometime, but we never did. And then all of a sudden, the day that it happened, that Peter was that they parted ways, they're like, hey, can you do the morning show tomorrow with it'd be you and Tony Miola and a couple other people? And then that happened. So it was really bizarre timing, but that's why I couldn't come on with you, because I was doing that. But yeah.
What do you think about Jake's assertion that the Cauldron, the ones that made this happen?
Not true. That is a complete opposite misrepresentation of.
I can't believe you think that, Jake.
Nah.
You think they have that much power, huh?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You think they just?
Please don't get
they're
me
pulling
started.
the strings?
Please
I
get
probably
started.
offended a lot of people out there.
When has that ever held
Yeah,
right?
you're right. They still
Right.
suck.
That doesn't
Did you
bother
hear any from anyone?
No.
Or like, well,
No, they let
then
me
maybe
alone.
then maybe you didn't. Maybe you didn't offend anyone.
Good. Well, I don't really care if I did.
Okay, then continue to
Right.
I think it's
voice
garbage.
okay, there. That's really
Garbage what they did.
Why?
Look, the time to complain about Peter Vermees was before the season started. If you were complaining, Peter never got a. Why are we? My opinion's already been out there.
Yeah, we want to know what Nate says.
Look, they gave him a 5-year contract, and he's never had a true complete rebuild. He's never started over from the nuts and bolts all the way, tear it down to the studs, and rebuilt a team. He's never done that. And so the time to go away from Peter Vermees was during the offseason, not 6 games into the MLS season or 13 games into overall. How many? Look, they had a great win over St. Louis over the weekend. It's great to see Kerry Zavagnin lead the team. Awesome. My point being is that you had him under contract for 5 years. You extended him last year. And you were going through with the complete rebuild. And then you didn't have the stomach for it 6 games into the MLS season, so you fired him. And look, whether the Cauldron wrote that letter or not, the time to write that letter was after last season. That's what the time to write that letter was. If you really wanted Peter Vermees gone, that's the time that they should have walked away from him, because that would have been the best for the organization. That would have been best for the club. Now this season, it's in limbo, and you're gonna. It's a long year, right? And you're gonna go into the season with trying to find a manager, trying to kind of wash away the fingerprints that are all over this organization for 20 years put by Peter, which is going to take time. So if you were going to go that direction, I think the timing was garbage.
That's the second time they've written a letter, isn't it? I think they wrote one once before.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, for me, it's like your self-entitlement. It's like, do you support the team and their decisions? Well, then you support the manager, right? And the way you if you have a problem with it, well, then stop spending your money. That's how you voice your opinion. It's like You speak for this letter spoke for everybody? Did everybody in this organization, the Cauldron, quote unquote, the South Stands, did everybody feel that way? Or did just a few people that have power feel that way? The people that were on the board of this organization feel that way. It's just, it for me, I think Lebo said it the best, feels very super fanish. Very.
I don't know what that means.
I
Like,
mean,
what is that?
no,
I don't know. Or maybe I know, but maybe the listeners
X Factor and Belly Boy and all these super fans, they think that they're like really a part of this organization. And it's
Who says they're not?
They're important. The fans are definitely important, but you don't speak for all the fans.
X Factor's in the Hall of Fame.
Just because you're the Cauldron doesn't.
He is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, no. Anyways,
I've got a trading card that says it.
way over.
Why don't you trade that card to him?
No, that's my card.
Why don't you want to say nothing? You're awful quiet.
What do you want me to say?
What do you think? What I want you to say?
Yeah, what do you think about that letter, Nate?
I don't think it had anything to do with the timing of
No.
Peter Vermees getting,
I mean, it had something. It didn't have any impact.
Ways.
Who would you like to see be his replacement?
I want to see Kerry get a shot. But and he's got this year to do it. I think he's got an imperfect team to try to do it with. If he can get this team to play well, then maybe it's that would be very impressive. But the thing that I think that is most interesting is that this is going to be the first time that Mike Illick's gone through these things. And I've talked to Mike about that. And it's like, Clark Hunt had to go through it a first time. He had to go through like, okay, now I'm the one in charge. Now I'm the one that's firing a coach and hiring a coach. And
Took him several tries.
it's not easy. Like it's a process that I think is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Because I think they also got to decide: are they going to hire a new technical director, a new general manager? Are they going to, because they just brought one of those in, in Mike Burns this offseason. So they got a lot of things to sort out.
And that's what my disappointment is. They should, if they're going to go this direction, should have cleaned it all out in an offseason and gone a completely different direction.
All right. I'm going to get you to say something.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to talk about it.
Well,
I just wanted, Jake was wound up there.
got to get you off that fence. Is there anyone outside the organization you'd like them to consider? Is there anyone you'd like, man, this would be a good one?
Yeah, there's a few. Jim Curtin would be the first person that I would call.
Oh, that's what I said. I don't. You know what?
You don't need him.
I don't need your. That's what I. Did that?
Yeah,
what
that's
I
the first
said?
name you said.
Okay, then give me someone else.
Giovanni Savarese is another
there, I
person
didn't
that
say that.
I think would be a quick call to make. I think that then you also consider guys that are from other countries that are coaching outside the league right now too. And I think you should consider everything.
That's Nate Bukaty. We've got Jake Gutierrez. Jamie Bluma's going to be coming in here. We're going to play some comments. Bluma's going to be a part of this. I like to have him involved. Hunter Dickinson made some comments about money. Did you see these?
Oh, I haven't seen these.
Oh, man, he was on Field of
boy.
68. He said all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
He made Barstool mad. He did all. It was wild.
Something he's very familiar with.
Well,
Making people mad.
Well, we'll hear about it after this on Sports Radio 810 WHB. What's up, Kansas City? Stephen St. John here for my friends at Hy-Vee. And you better look at your calendar because, you know what, we're not too far away from Easter. Isn't that right? And if you have been wondering what to do, how about this? If you are cooking for your crew this holiday, Hy-Vee has a convenient and affordable Easter meal deal. Just $30 includes everything you need to prepare a traditional Easter feast, including a whole, boneless, spiral-cut ham, russet potatoes, and gravy. green bean casserole ingredients, and bakery fresh rolls. Damn, that sounds good. Always finding new ways to help save me money and make my life a little easier. Hy-Vee. And they can make your Easter easier. If you're going to cook, there it is. $30 includes all that. Everything you need for a succulent Easter meal. Only at Hy-Vee.